Hi, this is the video for Daf Shevui, Daf Kaf Heh of Masechet Ketubot. As you know, the Daf continues to discuss, as it's been discussing for a page or so, what signs we need in order to assume that somebody is a Kohen. And one of the brightot that appears on this page says a presumption of a Kohen, a chazakah, lekuna, something that would lead us to be sure that someone, or sure at least that we could treat somebody as a Kohen and extend to him the full rights that are accorded to a Kohen, is that he does the priestly blessing, nisiut kapayim, in other words, raises his hands, as we still do in many synagogues, with the talit, and blesses the people in Babylonia. And the Breita says that's because in Babylonia, the explanation of the Breita is, in Babylonia they had courts. We know there was a strong rabbinic community there in Babylonia. They had courts that would check to make sure that a Kohen who got up there and blessed the people was actually a Kohen and not somebody just trying to pretend to be a Kohen. But I thought that this was a good opportunity to explain something that I think is a little puzzling for some people, especially if you travel back and forth to Israel. If you come to a traditional synagogue in Israel, and indeed this is true at the conservative yeshiva, we do Birkat Kohanim every single day at Shachrit, and on Shabbat we do it at Musaf as well. In other words, every day, as long as there is a Kohen present in the synagogue, the Kohen gets up and blesses the people. Chutz la'aretz, for many, many centuries, despite this Breita that says that they did this in Babylonia, in Europe, they developed a custom that we didn't do this every day. In other words, the Kohen did not get up and bless the people every day. Now, the truth is, I'm not so sure why this minhag developed. I could make some conjectures, but they would only be conjectures. In reality, we're not so sure why, but we know the justification for why this custom was explained, because it's Rishonim, early Talmudic commentators, are always trying to explain why they didn't do Nisiut Kapayim, the lifting up of the hands, outside of the land of Israel. They only did it on Yom Tov, only on festivals, and there are still places. The shul that I grew up in America, which was a conservative shul, experimented a little bit with this, but there are many places in America that maintain this custom of doing Nisiut Kapayim on special occasions, Yom Tov and Yom Kippur. The reason for it is that they say that Yom Tov is something that's a celebration, makes us happy. Nisiut Kapayim, lifting up the hands, the priestly blessing, is a celebratory occasion. It's something that's special and is only therefore done on Yom Tov. There are other reasons for this lack of performance of Birkat Kohanim in Chutz la'aretz. One was that it was so cold outside of Israel, and the Kohen had to take a bath in the mikveh before, and so they wanted to limit this and not make him go into the cold baths of Germany and France and eventually Poland and Eastern Europe. So they stopped doing Birkat Kohanim, except for holidays. I guess either it wasn't so cold, Pesach, Sukkot, or not in the dead of winter, so it wasn't so cold. And even if it was a little cold, at least he's only having to do it a few times a year. The other reason given for it is that the Kohanim in Chutz la'aretz, we're not 100% sure that they are really Kohanim, unlike Babylonia, where they would check to see if they were Kohanim, and they really knew how to keep the genealogical records. In the rest of the diaspora, they didn't keep such good genealogical records, so they didn't do Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing, except on special occasions, so that they would not completely forget the mitzvah. After all, if you could say, look, if we don't know who's a Kohen, why are we ever doing this? Evidently, they didn't want to get rid of the mitzvah at all, so they preserved it on the Chagim, on festivals, and got rid of the rest of the year. I should note that in some communities, in the Sephardi community, let's say the traditional Sephardim that ended up in Europe, they did Birkat Kohanim on Shabbat also, so it would have been much more frequent. And there are other more Eastern communities where they continue to do Birkat Kohanim every day. In Eretz Yisrael now, as I said, we do it every day, and Eretz Yisrael the Sephardim here have been heavily influential on our religious tradition here, and that's probably part of the reason why Europeans returned to doing it every single day in the land of Israel.